General Elections 2010, The Big Debate with Damien McGinley.
Welcome back. You're listening to a special election broadcast on the North Antrim constituency. We're talking about one of the biggest issues facing the next Parliament and government. That's balancing the economy and the need to cut the massive deficit there is, which could potentially mean massive job losses in the public sector. Coming on to some of the bread and butter issues that have been mentioned before. Most people believe to reduce the massive deficit, there's going to need to be massive cuts in public expenditure.
And that, sadly, is the tragedy of the past 13 years of Labour rule. So I've no doubt tough times are coming. The function and purpose of a Northern Ireland representative is to protect the essential frontline services and to identify where proper cuts can be made. And my goodness, I can see lots of cuts that could be made in this country. We are spending over 100 million a year on useless, needless north-south bodies just for the sake of doing it. We are spending millions a year on 108 assembly members when half that number would do. We've got 15 ministers when, you know, we're 1.7 million people.
That's drops in the ocean to what the
all
deficit
the drops
is.
in the ocean add up to a very considerable amount. We have quangos left to our left, to our right, and everywhere else, and we have generated more and more. Even when it comes to a victims commission, instead of appointing one victims commissioner, we appoint four. We waste and waste money where it needlessly so, and we have to strip that out, that waste, and get the money into the frontline services and protect that money, and at the same time build small business and medium business where there will be loyalty to the community where they are created and where they will go on to flourish and to grow. That's the real future. You know, the Irish Republic is one of the most ruinous economies that there is in Europe at the moment. They're competing with Greece for their state of abject poverty as far as their fiscal situation is concerned. And to hear Sinn Féin advocate that we in Northern Ireland, who have something of the shelter of the harbour of the biggest, one of the biggest economies, that of the United Kingdom, should cut ourselves free from that and join that sinking economy in the Irish Republic, really shows just how much their foolish, blinded political commitment overrides not just their head but their heart and everything else, and particularly economic sense. And to talk such nonsense about synchronising the VAT rates, that would increase VAT in Northern Ireland if you synchronised it. To talk about taking us into the euro, one of the economies, one of the currencies which has been quite disastrous for Greece and Italy and other European countries, and they're now having to bail each other out. You know, it really is the politics of the kindergarten and the economics of the kindergarten, the Sinn Féin kindergarten, which doesn't add up at all. Look, we are part of one of the biggest economies there is in the world. Our shelter and our hope lies there, and we need to strengthen, not loosen the ties with the rest of the United Kingdom.
Just briefly then, your policy on tax increases then?
I believe that we will build our economy by a low tax base economy. I in fact believe in a flat rate taxation which will generate and encourage and cut out tax avoidance, which is a huge loss to the exchequer. I believe that VAT there's no scope to increase it. You talk about the commercial heart of our towns. You know, anyone who goes down Church Street in Ballymena used to be one of the most bustling streets in this province. Now most of the premises are either empty or are charity shops because people can't afford the rates. So, you know, if we increase VAT, if we increase the burden on the commercial sector, we're going to drive more and more people out of jobs. And instead of generating a low tax economy where we can bring people easier into jobs.
Okay, I'm going to try and squeeze in one final question. We're really running out of time, but the question is on the regulation of the financial services industry, which has been in the news recently with the developments from the Quinn Group in Fermanagh and the political pressure that was then put on that regulator to relax the rules in face of massive public opinion. So, okay, Jim Ellis, that is big regulation. Is that what you would support?
No, I certainly wouldn't support big regulation, because one of the things that makes me most angry sometimes is talking to local businessmen who are bundled with bureaucracy and regulation, and then I look at how the banks were largely ineffectively regulated and ended up having to be bailed out. And I think there is a great imbalance there. It seemed to be who you were rather than what you were, etc. There seemed to be a total lack of equality there. The PMS has been a very distressing situation. It has been clear to me from day one that a good deal of the fault lay with our own Deputy Department, who knew that unregulated business was being done, who knew that there should be regulation under the FSA, and who merely received accounts which told them various things which they ignored. And I think one of the big failures to the savers in the PMS was the failure of Deputy to insist that there was proper regulation. Now, all the fault didn't lie there, but certainly some of it did, and I think it has been shameful that for 18 months we've had this partial passing and a refusal and a failure yet to face up adequately to that.
Okay, thank you very much. Sadly, gentlemen, we are out of time. My thanks to Jim Allister from Traditional Unionist Voice, Erwin Armstrong from the Ulster Conservatives and Unionists, Daki Mackay from Sinn Féin, and Declan O'Lone from the SDLP. A full list of the candidates standing in North Antrim is available on the Electoral Commission website at electoralcommission.org.uk/Northern-Ireland. Thank you for listening.
The General Elections 2010, the big debate with Damien McGinley.